All right, good afternoon. We're back on the record for the afternoon docket. We've got a few first appearance and then some other motions. So we will handle the first appearance docket first. And we will start with Rodney Rosier.
Good afternoon, Judge. Mr. Rosier is here with us here at Maine.
Good afternoon, Mr. Rosier. Sir, you're before the court on one count of loitering and prowling.
Yes.
The court does find probable cause. Your bond is $25. I'll leave it at that.
Judge, Mr. Rosier has asked me if the court is inclined to resolving this matter today.
Yeah? State?
One moment, Your Honor. Offered be withhold court costs.
Withholding court costs?
Judge, I just spoke with Mr. Rosier to make sure that this is what he wanted to do. At this time, he wishes to accept the state's offer.
Okay, Mr. Rosier, do you need more time to speak with your attorney?
Oh, ma'am.
Okay, can you please raise your right hand? Do you swear or affirm to tell the truth?
Yes, ma'am.
Please state your name for the record. You can put your hand down.
Rodney Rosier.
Mr. Rosier, have you had enough time to talk with your attorney?
Yes.
Do you understand what's going on today?
Yes.
Do you understand that if you take a plea today, you're giving up your right to go to trial?
Yes.
Is that what you want to do? You want to give up your right to go to trial?
Yes.
Have you ever been treated for mental or emotional illness?
No.
Do you understand that if you're not a U.S. citizen, you could be subjected to deportation?
Yes.
What plea do you enter today, Mr. Rosier? Guilty or no contest?
No contest.
I accept your no contest plea. I find that it's freely and voluntarily given. I sentence you to withhold adjudication and court cost. Do you need time to pay your court costs, sir?
Yes.
All right, I'll give you 6 months to do so.
Okay.
Good luck.
Thank you, Judge.
Tommy Latron German.
He's approaching, Judge. He's here at Maine.
Good afternoon, Mr. German.
Good afternoon.
Sir, you're before the court operating without a valid driver's license. And then attaching registration license plate not assigned and disobeying stop sign, which is not for magistrate. The court does find probable cause. Your bond on count 1 is $25.
Do you have any children?
Judge, and speaking Mr. German,
Yes.
he wishes to resolve this matter today.
You work?
Offered be a time served, Your Honor, from the state.
The offer from the state is adjudication and time served.
wishes to accept the state's offer, Judge.
You get assistance from the government?
Mr. German, have you had enough time to talk with your attorney?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, sir, then please raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm to tell the truth?
On the property?
Yes, ma'am.
You can put your hand down. Please state your full name for the record.
Tommy Latron German.
Mr. German, do you understand the proceedings that we're in today?
Yes, ma'am.
I apologize, Chairman, that would be on counts 1 and 2.
Okay, thank you.
Sorry.
No, that's okay. Have you had enough time to speak with your attorney?
Yes, ma'am.
And is anyone forcing you to take a plea today?
No, ma'am.
Do you understand that you have the right to go to trial and that you're waiving your right by resolving the case today?
Yes, ma'am.
Have you ever been treated for mental or emotional illness?
No, ma'am.
And do you understand that if you're not a U.S. citizen, that taking a plea could subject you to deportation?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So, Mr. German, what plea do you enter today?
No contest.
Then I accept your no contest plea. I find that it's freely and voluntarily given. As to counts 1 and 2, I will sentence you to adjudication and time served. I'll dismiss the traffic infraction, count 3. I'll give you 6 months to pay your court costs. Good luck, Mr. German.
Good luck, sir.
Corey Dion Castleberry.
Judge, I've been informed he bonded.
Okay. Michael J. Lennon.
He's here present, Judge, at Maine.
Good afternoon, Mr. Lennon. Sir, you're before the court on one count of DUI. DUI, alcohol or drug second offense. Count 2, DUI with a balance greater than 0.15. Count 3, disobeying a traffic light. And 4, disobeying a traffic device. The court does find probable cause. And, yes.
Yes, Judge. In speaking with Mr. Lennon, I did advise him, and he knows that his bond is $2,000. He's 60 years old, and unfortunately, he advised me at this time there's no one that can afford to post his monetary bond. He did advise me that he's currently looking for work, so he has no income coming in. Judge, he lives here locally, so we're asking the court to consider releasing him on pretrial release, and we'd have no objection as far as placing a TAD monitor on him, imposing other restrictions as far as no alcohol or intoxicants. So, Judge, that is what we are asking for at this time.
I don't have a problem with pretrial if there's a TAD monitor, no alcohol, intoxicants, testing, all that.
Okay. Mr. Lennon, the court does find probable cause. I will release you to pretrial supervision. No alcohol or drugs, and I will also, I'm ordering a TAD monitor as well. Good luck, sir. Derek Courtney Gillis.
Mr. Gillis is here present. Judge, he's here, and Judge, he's here. He's declined to serve as a public defender.
No, I didn't.
Oh, you changed your mind? Because I asked you 5 times.
She asked me to sign the papers. All I did was ask to read them, and she said, if you need to read them, I'll have you go last. I never declined it.
Okay, when I asked you, do you want to go ahead and apply for public defenders at this time, sir?
I said, yeah.
Okay, no, you didn't say that. But I'll be more than happy to help you.
Mr. Gillis, you need more time to read the application?
That's all I want to do.
Okay, then I'll recall your case. Thank you. Brian Soto.
Mr. Soto is here present, Judge.
Mr. Soto, good afternoon.
How you doing, Mel?
I'm doing well. Sir, you're before the court this afternoon for one count of false imprisonment. The court does find probable cause. Does the state wish to be heard?
Your Honor, I'm going to be requesting a $7,500 bond. Both Mr. Soto and his co-arrestee held a woman in a vehicle and refused to let her out. his co-arrestee was in possession of a firearm that he ended up threatening two other people that came to her assistance with. And I would note that law enforcement arrived at the scene and were able to assist in having the victim removed from the vehicle. And they verified that I believe his co-arrestee was armed, and there was body-worn camera used in this case.
Mr. Romero?
Judge, thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak to Mr. Soto. And speaking with Mr. Soto, I understand the allegations. They're alarming, but Mr. Soto did advise me he is looking forward to contesting those allegations. Having said that, I believe he does have a clean record. He's been living in South Florida his whole life. He's 22 years old. He is employed in construction. He's making about $13 an hour, and he's been working for the same construction company for the past 3 years. He lives in North Miami with his brother, and that's who he's going to be reaching out to help post his monetary bond. His brother works at a hotel in our community, Judge, and he believes that his brother, using the services of bondsman, can come up with $2,000. I mean, we are asking for the bond to be set at $2,000 on his behalf, Judge.
Thank you. Mr. Soto, the court does find probable cause as to false imprisonment. Your bond is set at $7,500. Good luck, sir.
And I'm sorry, I just asked for
No
victim.
contact with Haley Cook. Thank you. And can Mr. Soto come back? No contact with Haley Cook, who's the victim, and no contact with your co-defendant Schneider Jonna Saint.
All right.
And then Schneider Jonna Saint.
He's here present, Judge.
Good afternoon, sir. You're before the court today for one count of aggravated assault with a deadly weapon without intent to kill. A second ag assault with without intent to kill, and 3 false imprisonment. The court does find probable cause. I'll give the parties an opportunity to speak as to bond.
And, Your Honor, as far as the false imprisonment, I'd be asking for the same bond that you just said on his co-arrestee. I already just made reference to the allegations against Mr. Genesant in the last case. So I'm going to be requesting $10,000 bonds on counts 1 and 2, based on the allegation that he threatened the two additional victims at gunpoint. He was disarmed by law enforcement when they arrived at the scene. And one moment. Mentioned that it was the victims that called the Broward Sheriff's Office after being threatened with a firearm. And I would also be asking for no victim contact with Haley Cook and also Chris Massis and John Furcron. No contact with the co-arrestee, and no possession of any firearms or weapons.
Judge, in speaking with Mr. Jonathan, he has no objection as far as the special conditions the state is requesting. What we're going to be asking for is a much lower bond. I believe the state has suggested a total of $27,500. We're going to be asking for $5,000 on 1, $5,000 on 2, $2,000 on 3, so a total of $12,000. Mr. Jonathan is 21 years old. He's been here for 18 years. He works for a general labor company called Green Toe Printer. He's been there for about 6 months, making only about $10 an hour. He lives in Miami with his aunt. His aunt is retired, and she's on a fixed income. That's who he's going to be reaching out to post his monetary bond. So as you can see, he just doesn't have the financial resources to post. So I believe he does have a clean record. And an additional thing we'd be requesting, considering that we're asking for a lower bond of $12,000, we wouldn't object as far as also having Mr. Jonathan supervised by pretrial in exchange for considering lowering his bond. So $12,000 plus pretrial release is what we're asking for, Judge, and a phone order so he can contact his family and let him know he's here.
Thank you. The court does find probable cause as to count 1. I'm imposing a bond of $5,000. Count two, $5,000. Count three, $7,500. In addition, you will be on pretrial release with a monitor. I will sign the order for the phone. No contact with Chris Massis. No contact with John Furcron. No contact with Haley Cook. And no contact with your co-arrestee. Good luck, sir.
And I'm sorry,
Thank you.
as far as the request for no firearms or weapons?
I believe Mr. Jonathan,
Yes, Judge.
no firearms or weapons also. Yes. Michael Eric Knight.
Mr. Knight, come on up, please. Yes, sir.
Mr. Knight, you're before the court for burglary of an unoccupied conveyance unarmed.
I think this is an attempt, Your Honor.
I was just,
Say, I believe it is an attempt.
okay.
So we're all,
Thank you, Mr. Linder.
So we're all on one page. Are we all on one page as to the bond?
probably not. Your Honor, I'd be requesting a $1,500 bond. He had he pled out a felony to a drug paraphernalia last year, theft 2016, cocaine 2013, theft 2014, burglary of dwelling and grand theft in the mid-90s. He was sentenced to 2.5 years state prison.
As to confinement, as to the PC, do you want me to write on there that's attempted? Because it does say burglary. Yes, you can write it. Okay. Mr. Romero, did you want to be heard?
Yes, Judge, I understand that the court found probable cause for an attempted burglary. I do realize it's still a third-degree felony, Judge. He's 53 years old, and unfortunately at this time he's unemployed. He's looking for work, but he lives with his mother. So he does have a residence in Pembroke Pines, so I'm going to be asking for the court to consider releasing him on pretrial release.
All right, I will release Mr. Knight to pretrial release supervision.
Listen. All right, thank you, Judge.
Yes. Jeremiah Daniel Novak.
He's approaching, Judge.
Mr. Novak, you're before the court for one count of burglary, occupied dwelling unarmed. I do find probable cause.
Your Honor, I'm going to be requesting a $15,000 bond, noting that he broke into a home that was occupied, the home where his mother resides, in the middle of the night, started going through people's property. Additionally, his criminal history: 2016, burglary of a conveyance and grand theft, 270 days county jail. Theft 2014, possession of hydromorphone 2012. Trespass 09, DUI 08, trespass 07, trespass 06.
Mr. Romero?
Judge, I just told Mr. Novak as far as the monetary bond, but from what he informed me, he can't afford anything right now. The only person he can probably contact is his girlfriend, who he lives with, but she's also unemployed and she's looking for work. He works for a labor pool, so when he manages to get work, he gets anywhere from $60 to $80 per day. So financially, he can't afford anything, Judge. I'd ask you to take that into consideration, determining to see if he's a candidate for pretrial release. Also, I'd ask you to sign an order allowing us to photograph the injuries Mr. Novak has sustained as a result with his contact with law enforcement, Judge.
And Your Honor, my understanding of Florida statute is that burglary of a dwelling, he's not eligible for outright release to pretrial at a first appearance. It's considered statutorily a dangerous offense.
I will sign the order for the photo. The court does find probable cause. Mr. Novak, your bond is set at $10,000. Good luck, sir.
Just ask for no victim contact.
No contact, no return.
Thank you.
To 5950 Northwest 41st Terrace in North Lauderdale. Jerry Elian.
Come on up, sir.
Good afternoon.
How you doing?
I'm well. You're before the court for one count of loitering and prowling, and then count two is a violation of felony probation. The court does find probable cause.
Judge, my understanding on the probation matter, it is out of Palm Beach. I'm going to ask the court to consider an RO on count one so Palm Beach can pick him up.
The bond has already been posted on one.
Okay, then nothing more to say?
Thank you.
Your family already posted the bond on the count one. Palm Beach can pick you up, sir. Okay? Judge, I'm
Yes.
sorry, I had my mute on. I've had an opportunity to speak to Mr. Gillis, and whenever the court is ready, we're ready to proceed on him.
Okay. We can, Mr. Gillis, you are before the court today for one count of driving while license suspended, failure to drive in a single lane, and count three is a civil writ of attachment. The court does find probable cause.
Judge, if I could be heard, and speaking to Mr. Gillis, he had a lot to say, especially with count one. My understanding is he went to the Department of Motor Vehicles to try and clear up his driver's license. My understanding went on the 22nd. He actually has paperwork at home, and he paid some fines off. My understanding, trying to work on the child support. What I'm going to be asking the court to consider is, as you can see, he has $296 on child support on count three. I'm going to be asking if it would be inclined to ROR count one so that the very bond or the funds associated with count one, his family could use towards the child support on count three. And that's what we would be asking for at this time, Judge.
Okay, as to count one, I'll ROR Mr. Gillis, and then you'll go before the judge for your civil writ of attachment. The traffic is not for magistrate. Thank you. We can go to our felony docket. Alan Stafford.
He's here, President Judge O'Neill.
Mr. Stafford is here for a motion for ROR. It looks like he was arrested on December 12th.
Yes, Your Honor, it's
states-
not, we did, even though it's not on Odyssey yet, we did file an information today. We received an e-filing number from the clerk's office earlier this afternoon.
What is that number?
833-76188. I don't have, I think an attempted robbery file.
Okay, Mr. Stafford, you're here today because, we're past 30 days, and the state needed to make an announcement as to whether or not the information has been filed. I'm told that the information was filed today. Okay? Michael Shinshimer?
No, bro, Your Honor.
Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon.
You're before the court today for a 30-day motion for ROR.
Yeah.
What is the status with Mr.
We
Shinshimer?
just filed one of the misdemeanor charges, Your Honor.
You filed a misdemeanor charge?
Yes, I have no objection to an ROR.
Okay. All right, then, Mr. Shinshimer, I'll sign an order to release you on your own recognizance.
Okay.
Okay.
Release on your own.
1029. 1029.
Stanford.
MM10A. 1029.
Shimmer.
Oh, you can't release it? Where? I got a question for you, sir. I can't pull up. I can't pull up. So where's all my...
Next we have Brian Tralla.
Yes, Your Honor.
Mr. Tralla was arrested on December 29th. What's the status of Mr. Tralla?
We filed it as misdemeanor charges, resisting without violence and disorderly conduct.
Now that it's a misdemeanor case, would the court consider releasing Mr. Tralla on his own recognizance? He is looking forward to his day in court on this matter. But he has some medical conditions that require him to really get out of jail and take care of himself.
I will RR Mr. Tralla.
Thank you, Judge.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Keep an eye out for your court date,
You're
Mr.
welcome.
Tralla. Don't miss court.
Joshua Hunter. Joshua Hunter? Where's Mr. Hunter?
That might be him sitting there in Maine, Your Honor.
Joshua Hunter?
Yeah, Mr. Hunter is here present, Judge, at Maine?
Okay, Mr. Hunter, January 24th was his arrest. Mr. Hunter is here for a second look?
Yes, Judge.
What
Here
was,
before you last Friday morning.
his bond is, 2,100?
Yes, and I'm asking
That
that
is
the court take no action. The allegations were that he unlawfully entered or was observed in a parking area of a fire station. He was seen crouching by vehicles belonging to the firefighters, then hopped over a fence of the adjacent lot. When he was apprehended, he was found to be in possession of a Slim Jim door unlocking tool and a set of latex gloves.
Judge, Mr. Hunter advised me on the $2,100. Unfortunately, financially, he can't come up with it. He does work part-time at a burger place. He lives with an uncle who's elderly in Fort Lauderdale, and he's on medication. Mr. Hunter helps his uncle out by keeping him on schedule, keeping his prescription medication, Judge, but unfortunately, his uncle cannot pay the bond. Would the court consider releasing him on pretrial release?
What kind of history does Mr.
I'll have to check
Hunter
that,
have?
Your Honor.
Did you say that Mr. Hunter was working or not working?
That's what, he works part-time, what's the place?
Part-time Burger Stop.
Burger Stop, Judge. Where's that located, sir?
It's located on Sunrise
How long have you been working there?
for 3 weeks.
What kind of schedule are you on?
I work from 5 to 10, 3 days a week. So I work Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Gonna put me on some more hours as soon as more hours open up. I'm trying to get a job on a fishing boat right now. My sister's a stewardess on a yacht, so she's trying to get me a job on a boat.
All right.
One moment, Your Honor. I think let's have to check something here. Do me a favor. Could you get Mike O'Connor? Yeah, I don't have any other prior burglaries or anything like that, Judge.
Okay. All right, no, I don't see, no prior burglaries have been reported, so I will, put Mr. Hunter on, standard pretrial supervision. Sir, you need to make sure that you report to pretrial services within 24 hours of your release.
Yes, ma'am.
And you need to make sure that you check the mail so that you know when you have to come to court.
Okay.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Good luck, sir.
Thank you.
Mahogany Thurman.
For the first appearance docket. Every morning.
Hold on, Your Honor.
Good afternoon, Ms. Thurman. Ms. Thurman is here for a
Good
second look.
afternoon, Judge. Can I
She-
say something?
Just wait a minute. Mr. Reedy, is she your client?
Yes, she is. Let me have a word with her.
You may want to talk to your attorney before you say something, okay?
No, I was just wanted to tell, that I, have a job now. So if I could be out on pretrial release, but it's up to you. I'm sorry, Miss Powell.
No, that's okay. It is up to me.
Yeah, I just heard from my mother on the phone that they accepted me for the job.
What kind
That's
of
why I couldn't pay for the bond. I can't pay for the bond, but I can do pretrial.
what kind of job is it?
It's I help with the elderly, cleaning, and I get paid weekly.
Violating injunction.
Let me see if
That
I-
was my living address where I found that where I have the injunction. That was my living address. I just returned because the officer did give me the okay to go back to get my things one day.
Don't discuss your case, Ms. Thurman.
Okay, I'm sorry.
It's all right.
Your Honor, I can tell you, I'm looking at the petition that the protected party sought. It mentions in this one petition that at least on 2 different occasions, Ms. Thurman has been violent with him. He was hit with a stick once, that he had a knife pulled on him another time. I called the police, he was told he had to go to the courthouse. He puts in the petition that he fears for his life. He mentions that he's disabled. And then, in this case, it's not just a matter of her going where she's not supposed to go. She goes there, and while she's there, she shatters somebody else's windshield.
How long ago was the injunction in place?
The final injunction was ordered November 8th of last year.
All right. At this time, Ms. Thurman, the bonds are going to remain $1,000. I think it's $1,000 and $5,000.
Yes, ma'am.
I'm not going to make any change at this time. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Cornelius Jackson.
Judge, Mr. Cornelius Jackson is here present.
Mr. Jackson is also here for a second look. He was arrested on the 24th of January.
Yes, Your Honor. Mr. Jackson, we actually have his co-defendant, Dimitri Abraham. The allegations are that they broke into 2 vehicles in Plantation. At least on one of them, they smashed out. It was 5 individuals. They smashed out the windows and broke into actually 2 vehicles. It's noted in the report that there were 2 other vehicles in the same row that were broken into, and that's being investigated. When the law enforcement took inventory of the vehicle that Mr. Cornelius and Abraham were found in, they found one of the victim's credit cards and identification cards under the front passenger seat and scattered on the rear passenger floorboard.
Okay, I have the report in front of me. At this time, I'm not going to make any changes as to the bonds. Thank you.
If I could be heard, Judge, Mr. Jackson is 20 years old, and I did have an opportunity to review the PC affidavit. The PC affidavit basically isn't very specific. I believe the way in which they mention Mr. Jackson, they refer to a group of individuals. They never say specifically what was Mr. Jackson's role, if he was even specifically identified. They just lump them in a group, 5 individuals that has something to do with a burglary, Judge. My understanding is, in speaking with Mr. Jackson, when the actual victim showed up, he wasn't actually able to physically identify this individual, and the way the police report just basically puts them all in the group. I believe one of the persons that was arrested, some of the glass which was shattered was found in his pocket. He was in the back seat. He wasn't driving. He didn't have anything physically on his person. The point about it is, I think this is a weak case, Judge, and he's being held on a $5,400 bond. He advised me at this time he lives in Hallandale with his mother. His mother is a security guard, and she can't post his bond. Judge, I'm asking at this time to consider releasing Mr. Jackson on pretrial release, or on level 2, so that they could verify and speak to his mom, and then hopefully have him released.
Your Honor, just to correct Mr. Romero, actually what the probable cause affidavit states is that the witness was brought to the traffic stop and positively identified all 5 suspects.
That's exactly what it says, Mr. Romero, and I have to go based on the probable cause affidavit that's in front of me. I'm not going to make any changes at this time. Thank you. Dimitri Abraham.
Conti, Your Honor.
Good afternoon, Judge.
Good afternoon, Mr. Abraham. You're being brought back to court. You were arrested on the 24th. You're brought back today for a second look. This is one of the co-defendants.
Yes, ma'am.
At this time, the court's not making any changes. Thank you.
All right, okay, good.
how about Anthony Walker?
Copy again, Your Honor. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Mr. Walker. Mr. Walker, what is his arrest date? I don't have that.
He appeared before Judge Pohl last Friday afternoon on an arrest warrant.
Okay.
That he was arrested, I believe, on the 24th.
He was arrested on the 24th?
Yes, he was arrested on an arrest warrant for grand theft, 2 counts of grand theft, 2 counts of criminal use of personal identification information, and 1 count of uttering a forged instrument. Judge Coleman had set his bonds at $5,000 on each count. Judge Pohl reduced the bonds to $2,000 per count, plus pretrial with the GPS. I would also note, and I advise Judge Pohl, that Mr. Walker is currently on probation, misdemeanor probation for exposure of sexual organs. He had a theft 2010, burglary of a structure, that was in the late 80s. Your Honor, do you have a copy of the warrant affidavit?
I don't,
If
but
you'd like.
he was before Judge Pohl on Friday
Yes,
and received a bond reduction.
yes.
Okay, then at this time, this court will not make any changes to the bonds as are in place. And I have a misdemeanor, Jean Regisma.
Conte.
Okay, Mr. Regisma is here for a second look. He was arrested on January 18th.
Yeah, at the time of his arrest on this charge, Your Honor, he had a violation of probation hold.
Yeah.
I'm showing he has completed his sentence on his violation of probation. This is the only thing that's holding him.
Okay.
Frankly, I have no problem leaving it up to Mr. Regisma. If he wants to resolve this matter, the offer from the state would be an adjudication time served. Frankly, if he wants an ROR, I don't have an objection to that.
Do you understand your options, Mr. Regisma?
Yes, I do.
What would you like to do, sir? Okay.
Okay, then the court will ROR you on that count.
Keep a lookout for your court dates, Gene. Don't miss court.
No problem,
Okay.
I will do.
All right.
Good luck, sir. Linda Morgan.
Paul Ryan.
Oh, go ahead, Mr.
I was just going to say, Your Honor, you transferred this case to MI.
We did?
Yes.
Okay. When did we do that? Yesterday?
No, it was done last Friday.
Last Friday? Okay.
I'm just going to check. If it's okay, I'll just check Odyssey real quick to see if they gave her a date.
Thank you.
She's scheduled to see Judge Lerner Wren Thursday.
Okay, Ms. Morgan, you go before your division judge on Thursday on this matter, okay?
Well, I don't quite understand. I'm a federal Supreme Court magistrate centurion. I shouldn't be here in the first place.
Okay,
So
then you'll tell the judge that when you appear before her on Thursday, and they'll handle it there, okay?
Thank you.
You're welcome. Bradley Quimbley.
He's here for President Maine.
All right, Mr. Quimbley is also back for a second look.
Correct, Judge.
He was arrested on January 24th.
You know, I'm unable to make an offer based on one of the charges is for assault against a Publix employee. That being said, if the court's inclined to allow non-monetary release, I would ask for pretrial. He does have priors for violence and aggravated stalking in 2013 that he went to prison on, felony battery because of priors in 2013, violation of a domestic violence injunction, and battery in 06.
Okay, so the the fraud on the merchant, are you saying that those charges are gone, or
No.
what are you saying?
I'm sorry,
You said something
let
about
me
assault on the
clarify.
public employee.
The reason I can't make an offer is because there's an assault. I know it says 1 through 4 all for fraud. That's
Right.
not the case. It's 4 separate charges. I don't know
Okay.
why it shows that way in the.
Okay,
There's assault, fraud, disorderly conduct, and trespass.
okay,
The other 3, if it was just the other 3 counts, I could probably resolve it, but I can't because of the assault, so. And there's a $100 bond on the assault. No bond is attached on the other 3 counts.
Judge, I have an opportunity to speak with Mr. Quimbley, and we appreciate the state's position on this as far as we understand why they can't make a plea offer, and I explained that to Mr. Quimbley, and he understands. Judge, we'd have no objection with the state suggestion as far as having him released on pre-trial release, and obviously no contact with the victim and a stay-away order from public. So at this time, we have no objection to that.
Yes, ma'am.
all right. Then at this time, I'll release Mr. Quimbley to pretrial supervision, no contact with the victims, and no return to the public.
Okay, thank you, ma'am.
You're
And I
welcome.
apologize for last time when I was kind of loud with you. I don't know if you heard me. But
Well, I didn't hear
Okay.
anything you said, which was good. I did see your actions, but I didn't hear
apologize.
anything you said. So,
yeah. Thank you,
apology
ma'am.
accepted. Good luck.
Thank you. Yeah.
Good luck, sir.
Ryan Brandis.
Conti, Your Honor.
Hi.
Hi, Your Honor.
Sorry, Conti. Good afternoon, Mr. Brandis. Mr. Brandis,
Hi, Your Honor. How are you?
I'm okay. You were arrested on January 25th. They've brought you back for a second look. Let's see. What's his bond?
$1,000.
$1,000?
Bond's $1,000 right now, Judge. The allegation is he, I guess, was asking for money, and when the victim didn't give him any money, he had struck the victim with an open palm of his hand several times.
Did we,
But he's not able to make this monetary bond.
is there any concern that we should send this to Judge Lerner Wren?
I had thought about that. I don't know how the state feels about that. I don't have enough information on him because we've never represented him before. I don't think he has a really extensive criminal history, certainly not as far as our office is concerned,
Okay.
unless the state shows something different.
I think there's issues here. It's just, I don't think it's in Broward. Just in one moment, getting we're seeing 7 hits on a protection order. 8. Wow. Your Honor, I'm seeing multiple. Oh, that's Brandon. I'm seeing multiple hits on injunctions being issued out of the state of New York against Mr. Brandis by various people.
Is that something that would preclude him from going to Judge Lerner Wren?
I don't know if that in itself would preclude him. I can tell you, Judge, when I went to his New York history, the very first thing I saw in 2016, harassment in the second degree, dismissed due to mental incapacity.
All right, then I'll sign an order to transfer to Judge Lerner Wren's division.
I'll put our office on notice, Judge.
Thank you. Mr. Brandis, you'll see your division judge shortly, okay?
Thank you.
All right, sir, take care.
Good luck, Ryan.
Okay. That's all I have. Does anyone else have anything else?
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Oh, we got some